I'm Kiwi,
And I'm Jarad.
and we are the two gentlemen coming to you as easy as Sunday morning. Jarad, how are you?
It is early, isn't it, mate? I'm sitting outside in the elements, and it's a bit fresh. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm really well. I love being up early, so thanks for scheduling this meeting at the wee hours. I really like it. It's great.
Yeah, no, actually, I do my best work in the morning, to be honest. So
Oh, okay.
I don't mind. I don't mind it. But yeah, I was up anyway, so I got soccer dad duties to go to. So
Yeah,
yeah, let's have a chat beforehand.
awesome. Well, I've
Uh,
got a 10-hour shift today, so I'm happy to get this done beforehand and leave for work in a really good mood, having spoken to my friend.
Oh well, I hope I can help you out. But mate, I just got a little question. I only just thought of it, but we're both relatively sort of caring people, and we like to give our time and experience to people if they need it. Have you ever encountered a situation where maybe you gave an inch and they took a mile, sort of thing? Has there ever any? How do you manage that if that occurs?
Yeah, good question, Jarad. I I just want to address the first point that you made that you and I are pretty giving, generous people, and we're pretty lucky to be in that position. Really, like if you can give, that means you've got something left over to give. You can't give um, something that you need. So obviously, you and I, we've got a bit of surplus there.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank the stars or the heavens or whatever you want to thank that you and I are in that position. In terms of anyone taking advantage of that, taking a mile after I've given an inch, I don't think I've ever encountered that personally, where
Yeah.
someone's tried to take advantage of me or taken too much. But I can imagine that for a lot of people, it puts them off wanting to give.
Hmm.
What about you, Jarad? Have you been in a situation where someone's taken a bit too much?
Look, again, I'm a bit like you. I don't know if I'm just. I don't know. Like I think at times you realise maybe I've given this situation too much, or I've explained or helped this person, but I can't actually pinpoint a time. But I guess it just falls in that category of if somebody needs a place to stay, of course I'd offer my house, right?
Yeah.
And I guess you used to say, oh, okay, happy to help you out for a week or two or a month if you need it. And then all of a sudden it's 3 months later and
Mm.
or 6 months later. And I guess that would be tough because, you would have, this person's become reliant on you. And as a sort of generous sort of giving person, I'm happy to help, but, not to the detriment of my life, my family, being a little bit selfish. You need to, think about, well, not selfish. You need to think about you as well. It's your mental health and your situation. So you can't let that be affected by, I suppose that's when you'd have to cut it off.
Yeah. And look, Jarad, it's not just your mental health, it's your financial health as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really important. You've got your main priority right now in your life, I imagine, is your family.
Yeah.
Same goes for me. Now, I'm happy to give people money, and I have given people money,
Mm.
but again, using your word, not to the detriment of my family.
Mm.
If they're
Yeah.
not, there's that old expression, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And, we can't be doing that. That doesn't make sense for anybody. Nobody wins in that situation. So
Yeah.
giving really is about generating surplus and then distributing that somehow. For you and I, like a lot of our surplus comes from our mental health. You and
Yeah.
I are mentally healthy enough to give our time to somebody. If somebody rings up in crisis, you and I, we're not in crisis ourselves. We're so
Mm.
lucky. Honestly, I
Yes.
believe that's the greatest blessing of my entire life, that I was born with a brain that's not so susceptible to mental illness.
Mm.
I'm a very healthy guy. So I've got that. I'm able to give my healthy brain to other people.
Yeah. If they require. Yeah.
Yeah. But if I'm burnt out, then I don't have that to give.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose it would be a situation like that. Like, I mean, and we're talking if we do get burnt out, I mean, I think it takes a bit for me personally to reach that point. And I guess that's why going back to what I said, sometimes I get into a situation and I'm like, oh, I've really gone too far with this, or I don't need to be helping this person or this situation or this, even in the workplace, I don't need to be butting my nose into this anymore. Like this situation's okay to run without me. It's a form of letting go as well. Like if you've helped this person or situation and nurtured it, and whatever you need to do to get them where they are or where it is or whatever, then all of a sudden you've got to go, oh, okay, wipe your hands of it. Like that's pretty tough too when you're sort of in our situation.
And what do you think the tough part is, Jarad? Is it letting go, or is it trusting the person to do their thing on their own?
I think that depends. That's just a personal thing, Like for me, it's a bit of both. I mean, I don't know. If you've put time and effort into something, I guess you're not doing it for you, but you'd also like to see that what you put out to the universe or to this person or to this situation, it's actually succeeded to a certain degree. I don't know if that's the right words, but I think it's, the whole letting go is, not needed. That's the big thing. If you're not required, it's like, oh, okay, I'll go back to what, like I've put all my time and energy, right? So, and realistically, we've touched on, we've got a good family life, and that shouldn't be a problem. But when you actually put yourself out there to help a situation, and then it's like, okay, see ya. It's like, oh, there's a bit of a void, I guess, and you've just got to find something else to fill that up with.
Interesting, Jarad. That's a very interesting point.
Yeah, I'm sure people would go through that. I mean, I think that's something that maybe, like to a certain degree, you don't sit there pining for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, oh, there's a little bit of an emptiness of like, this person was here under my roof and now they're not, or, this, whatever. So, yeah, I'm sure people have different degrees of that feeling when the situation doesn't require you, I guess.
So giving really fills your cup. It allows you to feel that you feel good about yourself. But I guess it's really important to know that, okay, giving isn't about me though. It shouldn't be about filling my cup. I mean, it feels great. It feels great when you're the guy that helped somebody. Yeah. But the moment we start doing it for that power, it becomes toxic, I think.
You cross a little bit of a line there, I think. So, and I suppose that's on it, when I say our end, but the giver's end to pull back, I don't know, maybe that's a way to manage the whole bit of tough love sort of thing, I don't know, give the situation that sort of, okay, I've got to take steps to remove myself from the situation and not be removed, if that makes sense.
Well, then we need to ask ourselves what our intention is in the first place.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, if we're trying to help someone, then our goal, the way we do something, should be to set the other person up for success and do ourselves out of a job. Yeah. That's what it should be.
I agree. And I think sometimes those situations, though, happen so quickly that we don't have the time to process, okay, what are we actually going to do to help this situation, this person? What's our goals? Essentially it's like, my initial goal is to, hey, let's get the roof over your head, or here's a couple $100 to, sort out some groceries or something, like that. You don't go through those processes. You almost sit down later and go, okay, well, now we've done this, where are we going to go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I understand. For me, the most important part of giving is making sure that, I guess, everyone's healthy and everyone's getting the right thing out of it. So, when you say, letting someone stay at your place, there's definitely got to be an intent for them to leave.
Yes.
Look, I'm in a situation where I've met a couple of people from overseas in countries that are developing countries. And, just to anyone who thinks I'm being scammed, I'm not. I've met people, I know where they're from, and I'm the one that's offered. Not, no one's come and begged me. And one of them happens to be from Nigeria, but it's a shame. I know. It sounds bad already. But, we got talking, and she happens to be a single mum in Nigeria. And she bought into my cryptocurrency, which the whole ecosystem is on hold because it got exploited.
Yeah.
So, I felt really bad for her. And, this is just an experiment that I did. I really wanted to start something new and try something. So I actually sent her some money to make up for it, because I felt like, what, when I do an experiment, I don't really care about the money. I've dropped thousands of dollars throughout my adulthood. I remember playing rugby with you guys, and you'd spend $200 a night, on a weekend on alcohol. And it wasn't a big deal. Now, for somebody from Nigeria, $200 is huge. So, I just sent her a bit of USD, and, that really was really appreciated by her. And again, it wasn't to be a hero on my end. She doesn't even know who I am. It's just to let somebody know that, hey, you know what? There are people in the world that care about you. And there's another guy that I've become really close with. He's from India. He's a young guy. And he's an orphan. Like, he lost his dad last year.
Yeah.
And I sent him, a fair chunk of money. And he lost money on this exploit in crypto as well. And I asked him, how much did you spend? And he told me. And for me, it's such an easy amount of money.
Yeah.
I literally make that in my sleep. When I go do a sleepover at work, I get paid roughly that. Well, not quite that, but, a few of those. And I just said to him, look, don't worry about it. Just know long-term, I've got your back. So, I'm not going to give him all the money now, but, over the time, he's not going to lose any of it. I'll make sure that I cover that. Yeah. So the great thing about it is these guys aren't expecting me to pay for their grocery bills every week. Yeah. They are genuinely appreciative people who are just thankful for what they get. Yeah. And I'm not doing it to be a hero. So the energy's right. Yeah. Now, if you want to make it a toxic situation, it would be them begging for money every day and me lording it over them, going, hey, remember how I gave you that money? I'm such a good guy, aren't I? Okay, you need to tweet about it and tell everyone about this guy. Yeah. That makes it toxic. So I think the energy has to be right. So that's my example.
Yeah, and look, that's probably, I'm going off topic now, but that's a form of donation that you can almost see where it's going. Obviously you're not there when they use it, but if people donate to charities and things like that, and it makes them feel like they're helping, and it's a nice feeling for the person who's giving. You've just sort of skipped, I guess, the middle charity, and you're going straight to the person. So look, good on you for helping these. And like you said, we're in a situation where, I'm not saying that we're both got surplus funds, but compared to, like you said, you can make what they require in your sleep, literally, and you're able to, at least pass that on a little bit, and not exceed, not be like, oh, here's, make it rain with, a massive amount of money. You're just sort of almost reimbursing, okay, you know what, look, happy to help out here. But I guess, like you said, it hasn't got, like you use the word toxic, or use it again, it hasn't got toxic, but I suppose those situations can. And I guess that was the point of the initial conversation was, at the moment it's all good, but without, how do you pull up that situation if you have to? That's hard to have that conversation now. Even talking about, I can't think of the words, and you think about, if you're in that situation, that person is struggling, and what happens if you haven't succeeded succeeded is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? If it hasn't ended up positive, like you've had someone live in your house and they haven't, nothing's occurred. They haven't got, they haven't saved any money, or they haven't, and that's what you think is the success, but what they think is success is different. So it can be a tough situation.
Yep. Their idea of success might be, hey, I just want to swindle a really generous guy into giving me a roof over my head.
So they're like, I made it.
But Jarad, so far, everything you've talked about has come from the perspective of the giver. I think we need to address the perspective of the receiver. Now, I have to say, I am the recipient of generosity all my life. Now, I was born in a refugee camp. My whole family was allowed to come to Australia to live. I've got amazing parents who still look after me to this day. When I had COVID, my mum brought over so much food. It was amazing, the care I get. Now, so
yeah.
if you want to flip that and look at me being toxic, it would be coming to a new country and just taking everything you can, giving nothing back. It would be taking everything from my parents and just asking for more, just going, oh, Mum, that was good food. Can you bring over more every single day? And not saying thank you, and not even trying to get on my own feet. So I think that a lot of the onus is on the receiver to ask, what is my plan here? Okay, when they give me this roof, how am I going to move on? What's the next step? And it also, sorry to do this again, but get a bit philosophical, as my 7-year-old son would tease me about. It's it highlights that life is flux. We're always in a state of flux, and when we're stopping and thinking this is it, it's quite foolish. We always have to look at how we're flowing through life, not where am I, and oh, this is it. I want to just hang on to this moment, because sorry, that moment's gone.
Gone already by the time you've thought of it.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to look at how do I move through life, and do I have the equipment to move? Do I have the arms that are going to take me through the water? Do I have the breathing capacity? All that sort of stuff, and of course, translating that into life in a normal civilization like ours. Do we have the skills to keep going? And that's how we have to look at it, rather than wow, this is awesome, I've got it. Someone gave me $20. Yes, I can stop now.
Yeah, I've made it. Yeah. No, that's very good. Very, very, very good point, mate. I know your son will tease you, but yeah, it's I like it anyway.
Oh,
I'm sure. Man. Hopefully, but I mean, look, as a giver, we've talked about that a lot, but yeah, as a receiver, you definitely. And I'm only going to just say what you said, really. But as a receiver, we have to. Well, first of all, I don't know. Do you? There's that form that I don't know. As a giver, there's no awkwardness for me. Yeah. But as a receiver, I really struggle, and I don't know. And that's kind of in my family when I really think about it. When I say my family, my sort of immediate family. They all struggle with it, like through the generations of, and I remember my grandmother like I just remember that they're all just like they struggle with receiving any help. So yeah, I've just had an awakening. So.
Yeah, I can imagine your family being like that, Jarad, and that says a lot about your moral compass, which we covered in the past, and also just your pride as people. Yeah.
But it's important though. Sorry, Kyle, but it just hits me. It's important that sometimes when someone's offering something, you need to be able to take it. Sometimes you do require it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's actually what I was going to say when you jumped in. So you just said what I was going to say. That's great, Jarad.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I feel like we're on a wavelength.
And, I've talked before many, many times about doing verbal sparring with my son. And that's something that you should drill as well. Like, how do you accept something graciously?
Yeah.
It's really important to be able to say thank you, like even with a compliment. And that's a real problem in Australia, that we've got this tall poppy syndrome, and we've got this self-effacing humor where we have to say, oh, nah, no big deal, or whatever like that. If someone says, oh, great games, like, oh, nah, just you kind of look away. And you're that kind of guy too, Jarad. You don't really like to get these compliments. Yeah. And how do you do it without, looking like you're bragging too much? Like, just to be able to say, thank you, that's really nice, would be enough. But we don't even know how to say that.
Actually, it's funny. It just reminded me of, and it's a little bit more sort of physical at the time, but, when people offer to buy, like you're with a friend and you're, I don't know, buying a coffee or you're having lunch and somebody goes, no, I got the bill. And then they have this money fight. Like I remember watching like people, back when, now we use cards, but back when, it's like, I'm going to pay. No, you pay. Like, and they grab each other's arms and they're like, no. And this cashier behind the counter is like, just someone pay, like, stop fighting over it, And it's just like, no, I'm doing it. And then no one would accept it. That's my little thing. Sometimes if someone offers to pay, I'll go, no, it's okay. And if they offer again, I'm like, you know what? Okay. I'm not going to sit there and fight, because I feel awkward for the person behind the counter.
And the correct response is, thank you so much. Make sure you let me get the next one.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm like, okay, no worries. But I owe about 15 people. No, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just a funny. I remember watching that, through my family, and then also just people at restaurants and things. It's just hilarious. But yeah, I've seen it that many times, and I'm like, you know what? If you're going to offer, and I say no, and then you offer again, I'm going to I'll accept that. Thank you. I'll get you next time.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of our really good friends came out to dinner on two occasions with my whole family.
Yeah.
When I say that, I mean my parents as well. And both times my parents covered the bill for both of them.
Yeah.
And one of them was the paramedic that was on duty the night my dad went into hospital.
Yeah.
And, my parents, they thanked him for everything he did. And he didn't do anything, in terms of for my dad. He wasn't on duty for my dad, but, he was there for my mum and my brother.
He helped
and
his
my
family.
auntie. Yeah. It was an inside word as well. So that was really nice. And it gave them an opportunity to thank him. Another time was one of our other good friends that plays basketball with you. He just met us for some Vietnamese food in Chatswood one night.
Yeah.
And, my parents were like, oh, no, it's cool. And it was kind of a good way for them to be able to give to, someone that they saw as a kid.
Yeah.
And I think you'd be robbing them of the opportunity as well if my friend our friend had said, no, I've got my own bill. Well, then you're not giving my parents the opportunity to say, hey, man, it's good to see you. It's been so many years. It's nice to see you and talk about your daughter and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
and is for your parents, and I'm just thinking this now, like as parents of young kids, we're constantly giving, our time and money, we're constantly, helping these little humans. And then all of a sudden you turn into an adult and, we meet their friends along the way. And then all of a sudden the two adult kids that you were helping out and, giving them lunch here and there, or, whenever they come over to your house and whatever, this is a small gesture for them to go, we can feel that feeling again, because they haven't had that for, you guys are grown adults now, like you don't require, except when they bring food constantly to you for when you got COVID. But you know what I mean? Like it's a nice thing that it probably helps their, to stay equal, if you know what I mean? Like they can sort of, that's a nice feeling what we had back, the 80s when he was growing up, or in the 90s, like when these young kids come around and, we can help them out and give them, like whatever. But it's, for them, it's kind of like, well, it's a meal, like one meal. That's not really much,
Exactly. And, their money's burning a hole in their pockets. They don't travel. They don't do anything like that. So that's exorbitant. They've got, the same income that I have. Like their combined income is the same as mine, raising my family. And they're not spending it on anything. So they want to help other people. Yeah.
And that to do that, have that experience with one of their kids, that's a very, not even a price to pay, but I'm going to say that's a very small price to pay.
Yeah.
And I think as my girls get older, some of the things, like that won't mean anything to me. I'm just happy to see them with their friends or thriving or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's the greatest joy, I think. And that's the greatest return, I suppose. Like for me, if I found out, these people that I've helped overseas have, moved on and become, whatever, like really thrived, then that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the ultimate, not that you're in it for a reward, but that would be the ultimate warm and fuzzy feeling,
Yeah, definitely. One of my best experiences in giving is, we became friends with a young woman who was, 20 years old when we met her. And we've just watched her flourish. Like she's grown so much. To be honest, she's doing way better than me. And she's like 25. I'm not kidding. She's so set for life.
Like, whoa, slow down a bit there.
Yeah. It's like, you're making me look bad. Remember that time I helped you out?
Remember me?
Cash flow. No, it was never financial or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just, a great friendship with a young person. But watching her develop into the woman she's become, it's like, it's almost mind blowing, watching a person. Cool. And it's taught me so much about life that people have great character and people are strong. People who have good values are really going to make it regardless.
Yeah.
And they'll find a way. So that's been really rewarding for me just to watch
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Jarad, can you share an experience that you've had where you were the receiver of generosity that really helped you in some way?
Through this episode, I was just thinking, how my life has been in regards to, the giving and receiving. And we sort of talked about how, we're givers. But, it's also important to take these situations, when someone offers you help. And it doesn't have to be in a negative way, help like, oh, I'm in dire straits,
yeah.
I know, when you're doing something like, I don't know, you put your mind to something, like, you know what, I really like, I started doing that paranormal stuff, and this isn't a big deal. So I started doing that paranormal stuff, and then that branched into like, filming and writing scripts and basically, behind the camera, in front of the camera, all that sort of stuff. And I was really uneasy with all that sort of stuff, but, like there was times where there was a few people in that who have had experience, and they still give me the time of day today. Like when we first started this podcast, I flicked them the first few episodes, and I'm like, look, I know you're not podcasty or whatever, but what do you think? And they gave really good feedback, and they didn't have to do that. Like I haven't spoken to them for like 5 years, really, with COVID, and then a couple of, maybe not 5, but you know what I mean. Like I hadn't really had much to do with them other than, hey, listen to my podcast, and like that I found that quite a, they helped me during the time when we were filming, and obviously I was part of that show or that experience, and it was in their best interest to help me. But I wasn't naturally gifted, with reading scripts and things like that. I'd always, stumble. And they just took their time and helped me out. And I've got much better. And it actually helped me when I did my wedding speech, because I really hated standing in front of people. But, doing that, I kind of went, oh, it's not that bad, and, like completely different genre, obviously. But, so it's helped me with my life a little bit. It's helped me with job interviews, it's helped me in situations where I've had to talk to people, deliver things at work. And it all stemmed from a hobby and somebody and people helping me. And, it's helped me through this podcast as well. So it's nothing dire or anything, but it's a cool little thought that, the seed was planted by just doing a hobby, and a couple of people gave their time and helped me, and this is where I am. I mean, by no means am I still, or am I a script writing film star who loves to stand in front of people, but talk. But I feel much better about it.
And they nourished a part of you that was different to what other people see as well. They didn't take advantage of you and go, oh, this guy, look at the size of him, let's get him in our rugby team. They were like, oh, let's fill his cup. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really nice. It was really nice sort of to do something out of my comfort zone that I was terrible at. And I probably look back going, oh, some of those are quite interesting scenes or whatever. But, it was a learning process,
Yeah. Awesome. Good on you, Jarad. Yeah. Look, it's really nice that you and I have both been in a position to give to others. And I have to say, this podcast is a way for me to, share something with you. It's really special that we both have the time to do this. And when we don't have the time, like this week, we make the time. We, find a tiny little nook of, tiny little corner somewhere in life that we can, carve out a moment and create this and continue our friendship. That's really important. And another thing I just want to share before we finish about giving is giving intent, just showing people that you want to be there for them and that matter to you. And that's not a huge thing. No. For example, we've got a friend who is an awesome artist, and he's become like a family friend, really. He paints in one of the garages where we live. And, we saw him there the other night, and we just popped down to say hello. He was busy. He was on the phone to his parents in Italy, so he couldn't talk to us. But, we went down in the cold to his place just to say hello. And to me, that little moment is quite important to let people know that, hey, you actually, you matter to us. And sure, we didn't end up having a chat with him or anything, but he got to see that this whole little family really cares about him and wants to say hello. So to me, that's important.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Like for the next time, like, okay, I'm busy now, or I can't talk for, but next time, yeah, great. Like, there's no awkwardness. There's no like, oh, I saw you 3 weeks ago, but I didn't say anything. That leads to like, I saw you 3 months ago, and I didn't say, and then all of a sudden it's a year. So
exactly.
It goes back to those early podcasts where we sort of said, sometimes it's just nice just to say hello.
Yeah.
Like, we're able to do it in person now. Back in those early days of the podcast, it was all via phone calls and messages and isolation. But yeah, we're lucky enough to we at least continue that now. I think that's the key.
All right, everybody, if you're in a position to give, please do so with the best of intentions and the healthiest mindset. If you're in a position where you need to receive, please do so with the best of intentions and the healthiest mindset you can. The rules are the same for all of us. Let's all be kind. As the wise Jarad Weston says, let's all be human.
See you, mate.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining me, Jarad. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Not a problem. Take it easy.
Bye. Sorry, Jarad, I just wanted to add, I really don't believe that anybody wants to be a bludger or wants to take from everybody all the time. I think there's something called learned helplessness, where people end up conditioned to being told that they're hopeless, feeling hopeless, and therefore they don't feel like they're in a position where they can do it themselves.
Yeah, that's the extreme. That's where it can end. And it's steps that gets them there. The steps they've throughout life that have got them to that position. So, that's the extreme of people needing help. They didn't plan it.
Definitely not. And it's almost like a deep psychological and spiritual problem. Rather than just being socioeconomic, it's something within people. And, to all those people who are in a tough situation where we look down on and just go, oh, these dull bludgers or whatever, clearly something happened along the way. They were told that they were dumb at school. They were told that they were hopeless at home. And that's the tape playing in their heads. And, no government policy is going to change that tape. And, none of our hatred and judgment is ever going to change that either. I think I love the expression, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I think, trying to inspire people, to me, that's the solution to, these deep systemic psychological and spiritual problems.
Nailed
it. Thanks, Jarad. Look, it was such a positive episode. I really enjoyed talking about it. I just had to add that. I know that we were done at the time. And you said such great things. And I thought, I've got to hit record because Jarad, you need to be heard.
Aren't we wise? No. We are not wise. Disclaimer.
But yeah, learned helplessness. We need to learn to empower ourselves and, become a source of power for ourselves and almost like a self-perpetuating machine, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, Jarad. Thanks, mate.
See you, mate.